Alright, so today we're going to talk about a very important economic concept, Okun's Law. And this is sponsored by AEDU, formerly East Brunswick Academy. So, before I begin, I want to talk about the economist who basically started off with the Okun's Law, Arthur Melvin Okun. He was an American economist. He served as chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors between 1968 and 1969. He was a professor at Yale University. Afterwards, he became a fellow at the Brookings Institution. It's a premier economics institution. Um, he's known for promoting the relationship between the change of unemployment and GDP, which is also known as Okun's Law. That's what we'll be talking about today. And he's also the creator of the Misery Index. This isn't extremely important, but it's good to know the person who created or who promoted this relationship. It goes to his background and establishes where it came from and whether or not this is actually reliable. So now let's look at a visual representation of Okun's Law. So on the y-axis, you can see the growth rate of real GDP. So that's the y-axis, the GDP. Now let's look at the x-axis, the change in unemployment rate. That's the change from the natural rate of unemployment. That's the x-axis. Okun's Law. So Okun's Law, as I've emphasized, is a relationship between unemployment rate and the GDP gap. So for every 1 percentage point by which the actual unemployment rate exceeds the natural rate of unemployment, a negative GDP gap of about 2% occurs. And this also works vice versa. For every 1 percentage point by which the actual unemployment rate decreases to the natural rate of unemployment, a positive GDP gap of about 2% occurs. It more reliably works when what I have on the PowerPoint occurs, when unemployment is going up and therefore GDP goes down. So it's important to remember that. That's the most important part of the premise. There's also another minor relationship. It's not really promoted as often, but it is still a relationship as part of Okun's Law. For every 1 percentage point deviation in the natural rate of unemployment, the gross national product rises by 3 percentage points. And by deviation, I mean when the deviation is going down with the NRU, the GNP rises by 3 percentage points. So it is good to know that, but Okun's Law, if you ask people about it, they will more likely tell you that it's a relationship between GDP and unemployment, not GNP and unemployment. So it's important to know the second bullet right here, where one percentage point for going up for unemployment means 2 percentage points going down for GDP. So I do want to quickly talk about the usefulness of Okun's Law. So it works very reliably in the United States. There's a lot of data for it, and it works out very well. But it doesn't work as well for some other countries. And that's due to the variability of the Okun coefficient, which varies by country. So the Okun coefficient, is very complicated. There's a lot of things that go into it. So it's not really important to know right now. You know that Okun's Law works very reliably in the United States. You can use the 1 percentage point up for unemployment, 2 percentage point down for GDP. You can use that relationship very reliably in the United States. If you do want to find out more about the Okun coefficient, I suggest that you Google it. That's only if you want to actually apply this concept to other nations. Okun's Law is also very good in the short run. It doesn't work too well in the long run. That's mainly because in the short run, wages and prices wages are sticky. It doesn't really change as much. So when all these effects and changes are implemented, the wages aren't affected, which means you don't have to worry about that in the short run. Which means that Okun's Law works very reliably, and there's a lot of data that proves this. It doesn't work in the long run because now wages react to the change, which means all of a sudden that it becomes a lot more volatile. And therefore, Okun's Law doesn't work too reliably in the long run. So just to recap, and it's probably the most important thing you should take out of this presentation, it's what Okun's Law is. For every 1 percentage point by which the actual unemployment rate exceeds the natural rate of unemployment going up, a negative GDP gap of about 2 percentage points occur. That is Okun's Law in a nutshell, and that is probably the most important thing you need to take out of this presentation. Thank you for watching. My name is Vinay Gonagonla, and I look forward to teaching the next lesson with you guys.